We are live. Hey guys, welcome to episode 27 of the Weekly. Apologize, the show has been away for about 3 weeks. It feels like the whole month of August we didn't have a show, which is not true. We did have one at the beginning of the month, but we are back, and with me here is one and only Black Iron Man, Sam. How's it going, man?
Hey, how's everyone doing?
Good, I'm good. I am on location. Actually, no, I'm just in Seattle, so like I'm doing anything special other than PAX West, and somebody's telephone is ringing.
That's my telephone.
Oh, it's mine. Oh, okay. How about you start the show and then I answer the phone?
All right. So, first things first, we're going to start with the uselessness of the week, which is the uselessness that basically happened a few weeks ago. But because of the show being in hiatus, we probably missed this. But it's about Ajit Pai admitting that the FCC lied about the DDoS attack on their commenting system. I think everyone kind of knew this already, but the fact that it's finally coming out and we're having people, we actually having him admit to the fact that, he misled Congress, or he misled everyone about the outage for the commenting system really stands out, because at the end of the day, it did impact people or supporters of net neutrality who wanted the voices heard, who wanted to actually be part of the conversation, and that kind of took away their voice. So that's where we are on the uselessness. Normally, we would shoot over to someone else and ask them what their opinion was on this. We don't have anyone else right now, and he is, I guess he's getting the door. So so that's it. So the FCC lied about, Ajit Pai specifically lied about the outage, and it looks right now like there's going to be no kind of consequence for his lie. But on the flip side, it is good to know that California recently just turned around and actually enacted one of the strictest net neutrality laws as a rebuke to what the FCC has done, and we'll see how that goes. Normally, places like California, places like New York, when they enact laws like this, it really means that just because of the sheer size of your population, these ISPs and these ISPs can actually, literally need to follow that law and apply it almost nationally, because if a huge portion of your consumer base actually has a law saying you have to provide net neutrality, the chances are they don't want to kind of have a piecemeal rollout of their service agreements across the nation. So they'll probably have one that fits everyone, and we're hoping that this kind of sparks other cities in the United States to basically, or other states in the United States to actually go ahead and make more regulation in line with what California has done to try to get net neutrality back to consumers. All right, so that's it for the uselessness of the day, and E is back.
I apologize for that. Sam handled that quite well, I'm sure. But you were talking about Ajit Pai and his misdirection.
Yeah. Basically, I mentioned that Ajit Pai did lie, and it doesn't appear that he's going to have any consequences. But on the flip side, it looks as though California right now, I think over the last few days, with a very strict net neutrality bill that should affect some of these ISPs in a way that would make them probably apply these new rules from California across the nation, simply because California has a pretty big population, and we really know that when laws are applied in these bigger cities and states with huge populations like New York or California, it tends to become a national endeavor. So basically, you're not going to have Verizon say, "Hey, I'm going to do something for California, but I'm not going to do it for New York." If they decide to do that, once New York decides, "Hey, we're going to try to do the same thing as California does," then they have to change their regulations. So at the end of the day, it works better if they just apply the same rules nationally. So we're hoping like places like New York and other bigger cities adopt more net neutrality like bills, so we can push these ISPs towards doing the right thing.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. And I think, sorry, I'm just trying to reset here in my hotel room. I think one of the things that just that points out is the fact that an organization like the FCC, is built to be for our interest, is really not for our interest. I mean, forget politics aside, doesn't matter. It shouldn't be that. It should be, that's what the organization is for. And we don't have that in there, which, we've known from the onset with Ajit Pai that, some of his allegiance lies towards his former employer. He was
a lawyer for Verizon, right?
Yeah, he was a lawyer for Verizon. So for me, that plays a big thing. And speaking of Verizon, speaking of uselessness, at least Verizon has been investigated for the uselessness of throttling down data for firefighters during the
California wildfires.
Big wildfires. To me, I don't even see to me, that's a national service coverage where you shouldn't have any issues, or you shouldn't be throttling, or you should actually even be giving them free coverage, especially during that kind of time. I mean, I don't see why that is the case, but I don't know. What do you think?
No, I totally agree. I think the whole idea that throttle, you just vanished.
Okay. I'm working on something here. I was trying to switch to my other camera.
No problem. Oh, there. Yeah. The whole idea that throttle, the internet connectivity of first responders is, to me, just stupid, for lack of a better word. It is stupid. It is not beyond Verizon's capabilities to identify the contracts they have with these service providers, and to make sure that they are not subject to the same throttling that most people receive. But because Verizon sees these first responders as just another bucket of money, they've decided that throttling them is probably the best way to everything outside.
Sorry, is that you?
No, that's you, man.
Oh man, I couldn't hear it through the earphones. Sorry, noise canceling is on point. Sorry, there was a Cessna that flew by. I just saw it. My bad.
No, so basically, I just think at the end of the day, there needs to be a better, there needs to be a better approach to, how the internet connectivity for first responders actually work. Because this could have been a life-threatening kind of situation here, where you are in an active wildfire zone, and you lose connectivity, or you're not able to get information fast enough to someone else. Maybe the fire has changed direction and you need someone else to know. It could be a deal. And I think Verizon definitely got a lot of egg on their face for that one.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry. There's Warren here.
Yeah, Warren's there.
Warren, what's up, man?
Me, Warren, and a black screen.
It's okay. It's okay. How's it going, man?
It's going good. Going good.
All right.
All I see is a black screen.
It's okay. It's okay. I'm just trying to, change my setup here and camera and all that stuff.
He's trying to go pro real quick. All right.
There we go.
Yeah. Anyway, so Warren, we're talking about Verizon throttling people's data.
Yeah, throttling firefighters' data. I mean, stupid. I mean, that's just stupid. Like, there's no excuse that they can make in that company for doing that, other than somebody being flat out stupid. And the best part, they made the most corporate answer possible of saying, well, when data usage, somebody to use too much data, they're on their plan, so their plan says that they have to do this. Yeah. You guys are fucking morons. I'm sorry. You are saying that. You're going to tell services that our tax dollars pay for, that an emergency service is to save lives, and not just save lives, save structures, whatever they have to do to preserve when disasters happen, that we're going to throttle you down if the data is out there. You should be reamed through the coals through this, and I hope you are. And I hope it's a harsh lesson learned. You would never hear this from another company. I'm sorry. The other three carriers, you wouldn't hear that line from. That just speaks to a lot of, I feel, unfortunate arrogance from them, which is a thing they kind of have. which is very, very unfortunate. You never hear this from AT&T. AT&T actually does demos to show you how they help emergency services when those things happen, how they cut off other people and make sure the data is centered in with where the emergency is. They did a whole demo a couple years ago. They did that a few times. I'm pretty sure T-Mobile will go and do their thing, and I can't wait for what's his name, John Legere, to go full mass hole on this with them. The second they have their next uncarrier event, they're gonna ream Verizon, and I hope every carrier that has some type of event reams them for it, because it's ridiculous. And the response was ridiculous as well too. And then they got called out for it hard, and then all of a sudden they had a new response. You need to figure out what's going on that side of Verizon Wireless and the corporate. Verizon and Verizon Wireless technically operate separate, but you need to figure out what's going on the wireless side and come with a better response than that. There's just no excuse.
Yeah. No, sorry, go ahead, Sam.
No, I agree. No, excuse. I was trying to read through the California bill here, but I guess just basically, the high level of it is the bill would ban internet providers from blocking and throttling illegal content and prioritizing some sites and services over others. It would apply these restrictions to both home and mobile connections. So it's I think this is the best thing that could have come out of California as well.
I mean, it's had to go to the state level. Yeah. It had to go there. It had to go there because the federal level's stupid. They're not going to go there. As long as you got jackasses like a Jeep Pie who are bought off by Verizon of all other people and spewing lies and just saying it to your face, you're going to have to go to these measures, and it's unfortunate you have to go to these measures with these things. And, it's just all in all, it's not a good look for Verizon, who otherwise, has good service, has a lot of good things about it. I know we're sitting there rashing them right now. We take the good with the bad with any company that's out there, but they I think they've earned this week a lot of thrashing for a lot of the nonsense that's been going on.
Yeah, I definitely agree. All right, let's move on to our first topic. The brand new iPhone XS and the XS Plus, aka the iPhone 10s and 10s Plus. The date's been announced for September 12th, which is a Wednesday, and Apple also at the same time leaked their own images for the XS, 10s and 10s Plus.
No, it's totally excessive, isn't it?
And of course the Apple Watch. So, I mean, we'll get to what we think about rumors and all that stuff for the device and all the stuff we've already seen. But my thing is, what has become of Apple that they have joined the fray, right, of leaking their own stuff out? Because I don't think it was a mistake.
No, absolutely not. When did they ever actual mistake? I think what was the actual mistake? Probably the Google thing. Well, not even that. I don't think any of
the Google thing was Google was trying to play on stomp Samsung.
No, they were punching the Note 9 in the nuts. That's what they were trying to do.
Yeah, and it didn't work because they showed us a massive notch.
Yeah, we'll see once that happens, because it's not just that. His mind share has a lot to do with that too, and that's what they're trying to capture when they do a lot of these things. And you take some mind share.
Yeah, I mean
that relates to it, and I wouldn't be surprised some people wouldn't saw that picture. Well, let me hold off and wait until October. Let me see what happens. And that's good enough. You think about that's good enough to in a lot of ways to affect sales of a phone. So,
I mean, it is good enough, especially, I guess it can affect, especially because the price is $1,000 for the Note.
Yeah.
My thing is if Google can pass that 4 million barrier that they've been stuck on. Because
the only reason they're stuck on that is because they've been carrier exclusive to Verizon. If they get off that one and it's just everyone can get the phone from anywhere and just walk into a store and grab it no matter who their carrier is, they'll surpass that 4 million.
Yeah, I think they will. And since they're doing the launch event in New York, so that's at least according to the rumors, October 9th for Google. But let's talk about Apple. Let's not make our Apple fans feel slighted because we just kind of went away. Sam, what do you think about the iPhone XS and XS Plus?
I'm not right now. I'm not even sure how many iPhones are currently in the wild right now. I think they still have the 5. The 5S, They have the 5 Plus, right? They have the 6, the 6S, and the 6 Plus. They have they have the 8s out with a Plus as well. They have the 10s with the S now and the Plus. So that's a lot of phones.
AKA
That's a whole lot of phones.
AKA too many damn phones.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult to try to figure out, which iPhone you should get right now in order to be. I wouldn't even say on the cutting edge, because if you want to be on the cutting edge of iPhone, you get the most recent one. But for that fits your particular need, because it's just some of them are just outdated hardware. And the rest of it is like, okay, what's going to work with the next version of iOS that comes out? How long is this particular phone going to keep getting updates versus if I buy something? It complicates things.
So currently they have 5 main SKUs, and within those 5 main SKUs, 3 of them have 2 sub SKUs. So 8 regular and plus, 7 regular and plus, 6S regular and plus. Now the SE is going to go. The 6S has to go, except that is their biggest. No, I don't care what Apple tells you and says that, they made profits because of the iPhone 10. The reason they can show those profits is because in India and other places around the world, the 6S is still, and even here, one of the highest selling SKUs of the iPhone. So
it's the cheapest.
Is the cheapest, yeah. So do they get rid of the 6S? Now, I can see them getting rid of the 7 and 8 because really no point. And you have the X and the XS. But
no, they'll just replace it with the 7. They'll just put the 7 at the price of the 6S.
I guess so, yeah.
That's all they're going to do, and they'll just keep doing that sort of realm going forward. Now, I think if you want a Plus variant now, I think that's going to be only on the iPhone 10 or whatever that name of that thing is going to be, XS or XS.
Not really, though, because it's still 3. The rumor is still 3 SKUs you're looking at.
But I don't think that smaller, that other cheaper iPhone 10 is necessarily like a. I don't think
the same design.
Yeah, what I'm more trying to say, I don't think it's like a Plus variant in their system. I don't. How they have like an 8 and 8 Plus. I don't think it's going to be something like that. I think they'll just make another iPhone, like 10, whatever they're gonna call it. I guess there's with iPhone 10s, 10, and the 10 Plus, 10s Plus, and then I guess there's gonna be a third one.
You know what's funny though, that as we're all talking and trying to say the name for a company that had a very simple naming structure, right? They've just quickly made it hard.
They shouldn't have labeled it an X. It should just been the number 10. Christ's sakes.
Yeah, for a company that had the simplest naming structure for all their phones, I think is when they started with the SE, I knew that Apple had lost like their senses of exactly how to actually name devices. But yeah, I mean, you're definitely right. It's going to be interesting to see. Now, according to GSM Arena, the rumors are pointing to 4 gigs of RAM now instead of 3. That's currently on the iPhone 10. Of course, you're looking at, the 2 main SKUs there are 5.8 for the iPhone 10s, and then the 10s Plus is 6.5 inches. So it's going to be slightly larger than the Galaxy Note, but probably smaller in screen because you have to account for the notch as well in there. So that's something to take note. And then you're looking at 64 through 512 gigabytes of storage, including an A12 chip, which is interesting because Apple has not made a new chipset, right? Because normally they announce it during the developer conference. So it looks like it's still going to be A12. And,
no, they announced it last year. With they usually announce it with the phone.
Oh, okay. All right. So they might have last year was A12 Bionic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's going to be A13 Voltron. So, we'll see how that. But yeah, I mean, what do you guys also think of some of the rumors that said it's gonna have Apple Pencil support? At least one of the SKUs will have Apple Pencil support, like the 6.5-inch.
I just don't buy that. That pencil's too big. I just don't buy that unless they're gonna make a smaller pencil, and it's gonna
which
fit,
doesn't fit inside the phone, right?
If they're going to do that, then yeah. But then I don't think there's been anything from a software perspective on the beta that says that. Because if we would have seen it in software development, they would have pushed that ahead of time. They actually probably would have announced that they're working on support for the pencil on smaller devices, so developers would be ready with the apps already ahead of time. They wouldn't have waited on that. That would have been the worst kept secret ever.
Especially something would have come out around the launch of the Note 9 as well.
Yeah, they would have let that be
at least
known.
Some leak would have definitely
let that been known, and I don't think they're going that direction. I think all we're going to see is that when you're in a landscape mode, you're probably going to get some additional software information, some additional certain apps will be able to take advantage of doing certain things in that particular landscape mode. So I think that's what we might see with that. But I don't think anything in terms of pencil support or some extra piece of hardware to go along with it, I doubt that.
Yeah, I would agree. Ronald Collins says, make the phone look like a lollipop because you have to charge your pencil, you got to plug it in to the lightning port.
Oh, Jesus. I don't know. I'm not even sure if they could actually get away with doing that and without some type of patent infringement. I honestly, I don't even know if they could.
Oh, I mean, put it into the device?
Into the device itself. I think no one else was allowed to do that except for Palm. Palm was the last ones to do that, but they used a stylus, not an S Pen. And this is a Wacom.
I mean, unless
LG didn't do it on there.
Didn't
do it on theirs.
Yeah.
I don't believe it can actually be done by anybody else.
Oh, well, we'll see. We'll see. I would say this iPhone is, this year has just been, especially with leaks of smartphones, it's months ahead of time. Well,
at least they've been the most quiet. They've been the least leaked out of everybody.
But the hardware shape.
Yeah, but it's not hard to guess their hardware and shape. It's just not.
Sure.
It's not hard to guess that. They're going to keep certain standard. Remember, the iPhone 10 last year was the biggest change they made, probably since the iPhone maybe 4 or 5 maybe back then. That
leaked really bad though. Remember
that
screen for that leaked in February after right.
Oh, that was Gizmodo leaking that, and we see how well that worked out for them, pissing off Apple.
Yeah, but Gizmodo is already in Apple's shit corner. So they're like whatever.
Does anybody talk about Gizmodo anymore after that? After that debacle, I've never seen they got kind of whoosh go over there.
All right, let's move on to our next story. Huawei announced the Kirin 980 processor, which packs a lot of punch. It's the world's first 7-nanometer chipset. It's 37% faster than its predecessor. And in terms of specs, you're looking at the world's first male G76 GPU, which is most of the GPU they have in ARM processors. First Cortex A76, first dual NPU, so they're increasing their NPU performance. The world's first Cat21 modem, up to 1.4 gigabits per second. So they finally passed Qualcomm by 0.2 gigabits per second. The world's first smartphone Wi-Fi, up to 1.7 gigabits per second. The world's first SoC supporting DDR4 up to 2133 megahertz, and the world's first dual ISP support for 46 performance up. So I guess better performance on your ISP here. Now, I think the most interesting thing is the GPU boost, because Huawei phones have been known not to do well gaming performance wise. You actually see frame rate drops and stuttering and things like that. So I think this is a big thing for them, plus moving to 7 nanometers as well. What do you guys think about it?
It's going to be interesting to see what device they release with it and how it's.
Yeah, the Mate 20.
Mate 20. I mean, we know that it's coming with that. They blatantly said
Basically,
that.
how it all ties together, right? Because it's going to be a thing about battery power. Yeah, they're saying it's more efficient. So how efficient is it going to be? How much more battery life?
Well, I will say though, from the experience of it, so the P20 Pro has a 4,000 milliamp battery. The battery life is better than the Note 4. Note 4 will give you sorry, did I say Note 4?
Yeah.
I did say Note 4. Note 9 will give you a full day's use. P20 can reach 2 days, easy, not stretchy. So
Huawei's always put bigger batteries in their phones and have just been far better at managing that stuff.
Yeah. So
And remember, they're using EMUI, which is a heavily customized version of Android, more so than what Samsung and the rest of them do. And they've also been always hanging around the 1080p level of displays, and been able to do that with LCD and kind of refine that well. So it's like they're using tech that's already refined to be able to get to where they want to get to with their battery life. While Samsung and the rest of them are usually bleeding edge and pushing things forward in those things. So it's kind of tougher to get that way. Remember, Huawei was the first one, I think, to put out with 4,000 or milliamp hours on a phone, and then the phone would charge other phones. They were doing the reverse charging before that was even remotely a thing. They would talk. I remember, I don't know which CES this was. It was like the Mate D or something, and it had like a 4,000 milliamp hour battery in it. And they would say, "Yeah, you can charge your iPhone up to 2 times with it, or something like that." I was like, "Oh, that's hilarious."
Yeah, that is. But some of the leaks for them.
That's another thing that what he's saying. Aditya Anvil is saying, it's like EMUI is very tuned to the software of that chip. Samsung has to tune their software to the Snapdragon to 2 chips.
Yes, yeah.
And as much as I still think their stuff performs better on Exynos chips, but that's just
not this year though.
That's just my personal opinion with it. But
this year was the first year of setbacks on the Exynos, because all performance tests showed that even though it was clocked higher, didn't run well on a lot of things, which is why.
But did it? What's its daily use like? Because I always look at synthetic benchmarks and go, "That's nice."
Not even synthetic benchmark. I mean, go check people who've just done like side by sides. It's not like it's bad. It's just it was not the gap. You know how like Exynos used to be like this, then it went to this, and you're going, okay. Because normally Samsung does a refresh of Exynos, and they didn't this year. So I think they either had like just some bad performance.
Aren't they going something different? Aren't they doing a major change to Exynos or something that they're doing?
No, they were adding. The only thing they were adding was the new ISOCELL support for Exynos. That was it. There's nothing else. The only thing, and the new thing they're doing for the next one is, of course, going 7 nanometer. But that's the same 7 nanometer fabrication that Qualcomm is, because they are the ones who do Qualcomm chips now. At least half of Qualcomm chips in general.
Yeah, there was. I'll try to find it somewhere. I want to say there was something that they were doing that's going to come in the next chip. That was like a drastic change. I have to look it up. I found an article. It was a while ago when I read this article, so I'd have to try and find it again.
Yeah. Well, anyway, the Mate 20 Pro leak specs will include, of course, that Kirin 980, a 6.3 AMOLED display. Resolution is 2244 by 1080. Wireless charging, Android Pie with EMUI 9, which is the latest and more refreshed. 3.5 headphone jack. Now they've brought it back.
Yeah, I guess the headphone jack ain't going away anytime soon.
USB Type-C, speakers above the notch and bottom side. It's now a tiered water drop notch, aka they've gone back to what the Essential phone did last year. And people are like, "Oh, it's really cool." Like, come on, that was already done. You guys went to something stupid instead. And then glass back cover, and we'll have triple camera setup like they have on the P20 Pro. So that's going to be, I think, October launch for that as well.
It's exciting, but it's like, is it going to well, this isn't going to reach the U.S. like that, and it's kind of disappointing.
Did you say if? We all know it's not coming. Come on, like,
no, I said it isn't going to reach the U.S. like
okay,
that.
I thought they said if. I was like,
no, it isn't. It isn't going to reach the U.S. like that. So it's like, once again, we'll see a pretty cool device that can't be sold in a large market. So it's
it's interesting though. I was having this discussion yesterday with someone, and we're talking about how Huawei ZTE had that whole hit by the Trump administration, but then technically after that, they've not ZTE, because ZTE had more serious and worse problems, but Huawei has rebounded in the sense that Huawei passed Apple to #2 spot worldwide. But the key thing about that information was also that same week when they announced it quietly, Samsung stated their biggest market is no longer the US, it's China. And that proves a very big point that the US market has reached the height of maturity that, even remember a few years back when Facebook said, even though it's not cell phones, but Facebook said, like, we are trying to get the other 6 billion people on the planet. We don't care about the US, but it's done. It's fighting for scraps. Sorry, Sam?
Oversaturated. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of these companies launched here, or at least launched a lot of these devices here. We are one of the first consumer markets to get a lot of these devices, use it. A lot of times, these devices are actually, created with a U.S. consumer market in mind. So it is worthwhile, I think, overall, long view. It might be worthwhile to see what happens to these devices when they have a focus on a different region of the world.
Yeah.
What will be the new features that will be pushed? Do we come out with anything innovative? Because we've said it on the show a bunch of times that these phones aren't getting any more innovative. It's basically just, hey, look, new notch, or hey, look, same thing, different size. And even recently, even designs of the phone haven't really been drastically changing. So it would be interesting to see what comes out of a focus on a different region.
Yeah, you're definitely right. I think also one of the things also talking about that saturation is, US has now become that true, I would say premium market spot, but you have to make your 7 Series BMW, your your S-Class Mercedes, right? Well, the ones that sell is your 3 Series. So we've become that market where you will put up the shiny, right? Everybody will say, ooh, doesn't mean we even will buy it in the first place, Because you think about...
Oh, sorry. Kairoga's had a issue with my gain. Is that a little better? I've moved it up.
Yes, it is. It is. You will, we'll put up these shiny devices, but doesn't necessarily mean that we buy it. Because you think about it, right? We talked about the iPhone earlier, and the best-selling iPhone, even though a lot of people will claim otherwise, is still the 6S. That's the reason why it's still on that SKU. It's not the 10. The 10 may be more profitable in a sense, but the 6S is still up there. So I think it says a lot about where the market is and also what market is makes the most sense, especially where countries like China, there are more people with more attainable income to spend for things like this, and more developing markets are getting developed, if you will, to, for you to actually make that kind of push. So it would just be an interesting ball game. I wonder how US consumers will feel when, if companies are now doing more of these launches internationally, number one, and number two, the feature sets don't fit our market necessarily.
The thing is,
I don't think they're going to change that, though. I think because the U.S. media says a large voice, that they're still gonna probably launch a lot of things here, because it just ripples back to that side.
Oh no, I will agree with you that one. Yeah, the New York launch market arena is pretty good.
But if you look at things like mobile pay, that's something that we could have gotten faster in the US if we had focused more on Asia to begin with, because it's been in Asian countries for quite a while. If you look at stuff more like live TV on cell phones, this is things that we were hearing like late 90s, early 2000s. That's what we were hearing about back then. And
Verizon had it. Verizon had it years ago. No one bought it, but they had it.
The US, the push into the US market wasn't as big. So if we're finally getting devices that, let's say, a device that was launched, but somewhere in Asia, and the big focus there is mobile payments or live TV or just like gaming on your device. It's inevitable that we, at the end of the day, maybe the American market will see those things a little faster because they have to produce chipsets for these that meets those particular specs. They have to produce screens that make it easier for like with better refresh rates. That's easy. That make it easier for people to play these games on there. It might ultimately benefit us if, at the end of the day, the U.S. I wouldn't say isn't the focus because the U.S. is a huge consumer market. You can't just push it to the side. But if they're also developing, or if they also develop the devices with another market in mind, with the features for a different market in mind.
You are definitely right. The first company to do that is actually Razer. If you think about specific focus, right? Because the Razer phone, the launch event was in London and Singapore simultaneously. It was not in the U.S. And if you go back and look at the press event, the press video on YouTube, the CEO talked about the games that launched were games that were popular in China. First of all, it wasn't anything that was popular here, and it was at that event I realized that Razer knew what they were doing. I mean, because we're all like, okay, why they get into a phone? They may make it work, they may not. And he said something about this game has 150 million people live. And I just said, he did the math. I need to sell 2 million. That was it. He was like, I just need to sell 2 million for this to work. And I was like, that's the market they were going for. And they, and that's that first focus of saying, we're going to divert a little bit. Yes, it's going to come to the US. It has to come to the US, but we are going to look at that market and say that this works for us. So, I mean, but to Warren's point, Warren is right. Like, no matter how much that diversion goes this way, the US market will still be it's almost something where I think the most you will probably get is those dual launches where, there's a launch in China and then, there'll be a US launch at the same time or something like that in terms of like the press coverage. But the market focus will still be there. So, let's move to our next topic. Google announced, or at least made it official, that they will not be releasing a Android Wear device this year. Now, we do know Qualcomm is announcing a new Android Wear chipset September 10th. Sorry, go ahead.
Because it's not going to be called Android Wear. Whatever this is, it's not going to be called Android Wear.
Yeah, sorry, where's the camera? There you go. Because I was going to say, that event is happening September 10th, and the rumors is there might not be a Android Wear device from Google there, but they are working with Qualcomm on that one. I think everybody knows that. So to Warren's point, you're right. They probably would just call it something else like they always do.
The Pixel Watch.
No, I mean, what would be the general name for
the software? It's going to change. And this is going to be, I think this begins the trend of them leaving the Android name behind on their operating systems and going more for something else as they lean more towards that new future that they're making, as they're leaning towards rebranding it and going in a different direction as something a little bit more that they can own, because the Android name they can't own because kind of everyone has that. But if you can name something, but Chrome OS is a name that they can own. No matter who uses it, they can own that name.
Yeah, Android, you're right. Android is one that, in a sense, the person who owns Android the most is Samsung. Not that they own it, but that, when you think of an Android phone, it's that. So,
well, they're at a point of kind of like even went away from calling it Android. They really just, they don't really even reference the operating system anymore. It's
well, they always say Pixel. They say Pixel OS or Pixel Skin or something like that. Whenever they talk about devices,
and even Samsung doesn't even reference it as Android as tough anymore. They kind of just call it, it's technically
they say Experience UI. That's the most.
It's what they most they'll say now. Well, we said for years you gotta get away from the touch with name, and then I went to the Samsung user experience, and now it's just. They don't. If you go to, I think the last three events, the last three phones they've launched, they don't reference it.
Oh, they just say the UI actually.
They'll just say UI, or they'll say the experience UI. They just really will go away from referencing it, or they'll talk about Dex or something else. And I wouldn't be surprised if they try to call their stuff Dex going forward, just to try to push the branding a little bit more, and going away from that Android name, which I think Google won't have too much of a problem with, because it looks like they're probably going to do the same thing, where Android is just the base, and then whatever people do on top of it is what they want to call it. So Pixel OS is whatever they want to call it, and it's all, however they want to name their operating system, and I think it's just going to roll that way.
Yeah. What do you think, Sam?
No, I kind of agree. It's not in their best interest to keep, to not to differentiate themselves from everyone else out there who's making Android phone. So it makes sense. Like on the Wear side of things, though, I think it's just gotten to a point where, Google is going to definitely have something that resides on your wrist. The wrist has become another battleground for where a screen goes. So yes, they might not be bringing out a Google Wear device, but they might be introducing new features on the Google Wear platform. So even though we might not see a device, we'll hear more about the platform. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do, because I've been looking at some pictures. I was looking also at, I think, something that came out not too long ago. And it's like a wraparound screen on your wrist. And there's so many different form factors that are coming out now. And it'll be interesting to see what kind of platforms support these.
Well, they definitely need to fix Android Wear, whatever they want to call it, because it's terrible. I don't like using it at all. It just doesn't flow well. So we'll see. I'm sure they're going to rebrand with a new name, or at least a new platform name for that. And you're right, they will have a device. Rumor is that they are launching, October launch event has 7 devices. So 2 phones, a watch, a new speaker, new mesh Wi-Fi, and of course new Chrome OS as well. So yeah, I think they definitely need to do that, because I mean the best smartwatch in the Android ecosystem is from Samsung, or at least on that side of the ecosystem in general, even though it's it's Tizen.
Yeah, I was about to say, that's not even, they stopped using Wear OS a long time ago.
I just call it Android just because it's on that side of the divide. Yeah. It's the Tizen watch. So that says a lot for what they need to do there. Anil says Samsung has their fingers in a lot of pies. That guy is sleepy. The first guy is sleepy. Who's sleepy?
I don't know. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. As I read that, I was like, who's sleepy?
Yeah. All right. Last, 2 more topics. Microsoft says its U.S. contractors must offer parental leave, which is pretty nice. Manning that many employees who work with companies be given 12 weeks of paid leave after the birth of a child or adoption. So these numbers are caveated, but the overall policy starts to ensure that more people in the U.S. have a privilege of recovering from birth and spending time with newborns. I like the policy. I mean, we all know that the U.S. is behind in basically this. Countries like Canada do a year.
Sweden has a pretty decent package there as well.
Yeah.
What was it? Was it Iceland or something? Has a very interesting parental or paternal leave structure as well. It's the rest of the world, the rest of the first world is catching up to these things.
Yeah.
And it's sad that, personally, I think the government should be pushing this, that it should be written into the laws. But if we're going to see the first moves on this come from corporations, then maybe that's a positive. Maybe corporations should be the one using, their economic power, their economic standing, or the need for other people to do business with them, to push some more employee-friendly, I would say, employee-friendly rules, I guess.
No, yeah, it's definitely correct. I think for me, one of the things I was having a discussion about this, I think 2 weeks ago with a friend, and I didn't realize. I mean, I knew, but I forgot that the new laws the laws we have currently on maternal leave. Actually, it was with my uncle. was through when Bill Clinton was in power. So it's not that long ago.
And don't forget how you have to apply it. You get a certain amount of time off, paid leave. And then the rest of it, a lot of time is short-term disability.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's people are like, oh yeah, but we have that in the U.S. It's like, look at how it's structured.
Yeah, structured.
You really have to take out short-term disability.
Yeah.
Stay with your kid until you recover and you're ready to come back to work. It's
most of the time it's 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah,
they give you of actual paid leave.
It's not just that, because I remember the discussion. My uncle was like, to him, the most annoying part is that he had, when he was working in the hospital, as a pharmacist in a pharmaceutical company, and even I myself in the hospital, you have coworkers coming to almost when they're about to give birth.
Yeah.
It's not like, by, say 6 or 7 months, they're like, okay, maybe reduce work schedule. Like, no, they're coming in every day.
A lot of people do that.
And I'm like, wow, because I see that, I'm like, man, you are like, women are strong.
No, dude,
women are very strong.
I think about that. It's like, I don't know how the woman's coming in and doing that every day, and even the guy that's having the kid, I don't know how he's coming in every day being able to focus on anything when he's having a baby at any minute.
Yeah, and the little I've seen of people who do have kids, like my brothers and my sisters, it's not the most calm time.
No,
there's a lot of work that goes in before the kid. Before you get the kid, before the kid is birthed, and then there's a lot of work that goes in after the kid has been born. So it's like all the setup and stuff, you're still doing that while you're working. So having a little bit more cushion,
and then it hurts jobs as well too, because now it's sudden. All of a sudden, somebody's gone on leave because now they're finally having a kid, and now you have to try to rearrange everything at work to make up for the work that this person is going to miss during that time. And it's pretty, you can prepare for it, but it's pretty sudden when it happens. It just happened in my own job recently as well too, to somebody. The guy had a baby. We didn't even know he was having a kid, so he had a kid. So that he had to go on maternity leave suddenly, which shifted the shifts of everybody else and where they go. And that just disturbs, flow versus being prepared for it ahead of time in response to it. So it's like when it happens, it's like, all right, they're already on leave. So it's just like whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, no, there needs to be better effectiveness for that, just for that whole process. Because I think for me, it's, if your company or if the country as a whole understands that, yeah, look, it's part of, to me, it's, the funny thing is childbirth is part of national security. If you think of the scope of things, it is, because you're making sure that the people in, your population is sustained.
The hell, man! I know if I'm running
a company, stretch, but yeah.
I know if I'm running a company and I see some woman having a baby, I'm sending your ass home 2 weeks before you get married. Like, take your ass home. You're not allowed to be here. Go home.
I get it, but you have to. It has to be voluntary, first of all, and I'm definitely for people doing what
voluntary. Ass.
Based on
voluntary my ass, because the problem with let me explain to you why voluntary my ass, because people will feel if they have to voluntarily do it, they won't do it because they feel that it will affect their job performance. Just send their ass home.
So this is why I was like, my next statement was going to be this is why you need. At first I was going to say blanket like women in leadership positions, but I was going to say more responsible leaders who are women. Because I have heard, and I think Yahoo was one of those as well, where the CEO gave birth and was like right back to work, and that works for her, but that might not work for someone else in her company. So it's more responsible leadership that are women would basically say, hey, look at me, I'm the CEO or I'm the head of something, and I'm taking time off and spending it with my kid and spending it with my family, and I'm going to come back and hey, well, I still have the position. Nothing adverse has happened to me because I took that time off. That will trickle down. You have to at that point you have to kind of lead by example.
Yeah. No, that's true. That definitely is true. But well, at least that's a good starting point for Microsoft, and hopefully at least since we don't have
Microsoft.
Even though we don't have that at a national level, like I hope more companies who have that kind of power to say, "Hey, look, if you're going to work with us."
Nadella's got to make up for that dumb shit he said like 2 years ago. So he had to find something. So I don't think this is just being announced for no reason. I think there's a reason why all of a sudden this is being said.
Hey, Adit, man. Aditai, sorry. Yeah, this is Borderwork Family Podcast, man. We cover all topics. All right. On the final note, of course, see the transition there. Some thoughts on the Galaxy Note 9. We've all got to see it and experience the device on different levels. And I just want to get your general thoughts, guys. I know, Sam, you got yours just recently, right?
Yeah.
So, and Warren, how about you?
I haven't gotten mine just yet. It should be coming soon, though.
Okay. I'll start off with you, Sam, then. Just using it so far, what's your thought process? And you have the 512 version, right?
Yeah, I have the 512 version. It's nice. I like the Note device. So there's definitely a huge bias here. I like the Note device. I don't see this as being a totally different experience from the Note 8. I would say that right off the bat. I did notice that the camera is better. I think when you launch apps, they do run slightly faster. And overall, for me, it's been really easy to jump on the phone and just use it because I'm familiar with it. And I think this is what they were really going for. If you're a Note 5 user, and you jumped over to the Note 7, as short-lived as it was, and you jumped over to the Note 8, this is familiar territory. This is very familiar territory. People say, oh, it didn't change. Well, it hasn't changed since the Note 7. The Note 8 was just a better-looking version of the Note 7 with basically the same design aesthetics. And the Note 9 is
and a safe battery.
Yeah, and a safer battery, sorry. And the Note 9 is basically the same thing, just a slightly different version of the Note 8 with a better battery, with a 4,000 milliamp battery. So I don't think this is something that's going to, if you're not a Note fan, this is not going to make you a Note fan. But for me, I like it. I like the fact that it's been easy to use. I like the setup time was really quick this time around. I like the fact that they've now come up with this pairing of face and iris scanning to open your device. I don't think it's the fastest way to do it, but oh well. I like the fact that they've changed the fingerprint scanner location, so it's easier for me to reach the fingerprint scanner now without like smearing my camera.
I can do that easily. I knew you just have to go up and like that.
Yeah. So yeah, that's very true. But when you hold it in your right hand, you basically, and you're not paying attention, you're basically touching your camera, your camera screen the whole time.
I never touched my camera. Granted, of course, I had a lot of smudgy pictures, but I'm just saying that could have been something else.
Yeah, maybe that's why you have a lot of smudgy pictures.
Right.
Yeah, no, but I like it so far. I like it. I like it quite a lot.
All right.
I think it's like it's a derivative update, small update to what they did before, and pushed in a way to try to hold on to as much mind share as they can, going up against the competition, who are probably just going to have bigger and more changes happening on their end than Samsung is this year with the Note 9. I think it was an inevitable thing, and I think they understood that. And I think this device was trying to just kind of mitigate that as much as possible, to keep as much mind share as possible. But like I said before, I don't think it was an accident that Google unboxing leaked right around the same day the Note 9 became available.
That phone has been launched already, man.
Oh yeah,
you know everything about that phone.
I think just to not to cut you off there, where I think it's such a very funny play, especially when you're talking about that Google announcement and what the Galaxy Note 9 is, and what I think a lot of YouTubers forget, a lot of reviewers is, beginning of this year, at least the people who had common sense knew very well that Samsung. I'm just going to call it out there for Samsung. This is the 9th year of the S line. So, of course, on the Note as well, right? Next year is 10. You do not see big changes in number 9.
No, you don't.
You do not. You will be dumb to make big changes. You know why? Because then you won't have anything for number 10, which is the anniversary year.
I think you heard me talking about this pretty much even before the 9 event. I said, I'm already thinking S10. Like, whatever happened here is nice. If you want to see what's going to be the new big thing, S10.
Yeah. But here's the thing about that too, and why this update for the 9 is important. Yes, it's safe. Yes, it's it's basically incremental updates. But it also ensures that if anything is off your taste on 10, you have this as well. You have the Note 9, you have the S9, you have those two, which will still be selling, that you can go and say, okay, fine, maybe this all bezel display, the rumors we have, fingerprint sensor on the screen, I don't want it. I don't know why, but maybe you don't. Then you have the safer choice. But I think, I think for them it's the most calculated play, and I won't be surprised if they leak around the October 9th from somebody showing you the first, fabrication of this.
The weird thing with this one, I don't think they do that. I think they're going to just wait. I think they ride this, and then right around the time when we hit CES, there's gonna be something that's said or something that's kind of peaked, sneaked, leaked in the middle of all that. While we're pushing all that, it's probably the largest time of the year where there's so much tech being shared. That's when they'll drop that. Yeah. And then here comes MWC, and no, I think it's right around that time because they're going to own that entire period to themselves. There's no one's going to launch around that time. There's going to be nobody available, and they're going to kick off the year as to how smartphones are going to go. Because if we're talking on the S10, we can talk about a little bit now. We're talking fingerprint sensor under the screen. If we're talking triple camera setup. No bezel display, or however close to the infinity.
Well, the rumor now is because somebody found a patent of the cameras underneath the display.
Yeah.
If they do that, then it's like.
But you're getting the cameras underneath the display. Imagine getting triple cameras on the back, double cameras in the front, maybe triple on the front, triple on the back. They figure out some weird thing they're able to do.
Third camera be used for?
Yeah, third eye, Third eye of the truth. It speaks the truth. And if they're able to really put all that together, probably give you 8 gigs of RAM. Default is a 256 gig model and a 512 model going down the line. And they may present maybe, S10 and a S10 Plus, or however they're going to push the things out there and the way they are. I really think they're going to own 2019 heavily with that. So that'll allow them to put that other bendable, whatever phone they're going to put out, that'll have the foldable, display as a risk, just to put it out there. Similar to what they do with the Note 4 and the Note, the Note 4 Edge or the Note Edge. They're just, we'll put this out there for that now. And then that sets them up for really good hype on the Note 10, because the Note 10 will have whatever the S10 has. And then this will allow them to further maybe make another leap with the Note 9 and give them that, the Note 10, to give them that space to take some more risk with that, given that they'll have this accompanying device. Because I don't think anyone next year, I'm looking at, what's happening this year that's going to set up for next year. I don't think HTC has anything that's going to come in the Android space. I don't think LG will be kind of interesting. I think they'll put something out there. I don't know if the V series will be able to really pump out there in that way, or the next G version is going to be really able to make that splash. Hopefully they can, for competition's sake. I don't think we heard much from Motorola other than what they've been doing. And Huawei, the only company that's blocked out that could compete against them and really try to go spec for spec or put something as compelling out at probably a little bit lower of a price tag. And then after that, it's just whatever Google does with the next Pixel at that point. So
yeah, the only thing I think for Samsung, the only thing they need to do is they need to find a way to fix their software processing on Auto, because on Pro it doesn't matter. Like the camera does fantastic stuff.
I do pretty well on Auto mode, man.
No, not on daytime. There's some nighttime shots. So if you take a succession of shots, like 5 or between 5 to 7, say for instance, the Pixel 2 will have, more, not better, but just same quality.
Well, you gotta remember, they can go out to the cloud, machine AI, and bring it back.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm just saying. That they just need to work on that so that they can have
the third camera, another camera lens or something, being able to record more information is going to be what's going to help that.
I think they're going the opposite route from Huawei. I think I would have preferred them. They went with a bigger sensor size, because Huawei sensor size helped them immensely.
Yeah, it does.
Completely. And even though they have AI software, it's not as as I say it doesn't match what Google does, but because you've got a bigger sensor, it really doesn't matter at that point, right? So I think, but they're going the opposite route. They're doing the isocell where you're combining isocells together. So we'll see how that actually fits in with that whole style of photography. But
did you guys see the article I sent?
Yeah.
Just so we didn't talk about that real quick. I don't think we mentioned what that is because that's a big change in the game.
Oh yes.
Thank
Game
and chanting space.
Yeah, so this I did a video before I actually left on this on my gaming channel, but so just so you guys can see, so Microsoft announced, this was last week, right? Yeah, it was right before.
No, this was this week.
This week, right before I left. Microsoft announced Xbox One All Access. This was rumored, and they launched it right before PAX West here. And you can pick one of the two consoles, the subscription service that combines the Xbox One console, Xbox Live Gold, Xbox Game Pass. No upfront cost. It's low monthly payments for 24 months or 2 years. This is also backed by Dell, who Microsoft partly owns a little piece of Dell. Dell's financing service, but that's just besides the point there. Now your options are between 1 terabyte Xbox One S for $21.99 per month, and 1 terabyte Xbox One X for $34.99 a month. That gives you, of course, Xbox Live Gold for those 2 years, and of course, Xbox Game Pass. I did the math. If you were to get the Xbox One X version, and you were to pay for all that for 2 years, it is about $46 cheaper using Xbox All Access. With the One S, you're saving closer to about $100 or so. But this is something that is quite interesting. What do you, Warren, since you brought it up, just your thoughts on this?
I think it's their first stab at turning Xbox as a service, like fully out there doing that. They got to push consoles because the more they do this in this way, they can push the console numbers up. Yeah. And so the console numbers go up, developers go, ooh, I can develop and be lazy and push out apps. But I think the only thing with this is the sales. That's the problem with this, because the sales a lot of times on the regular Xboxes can be cheaper, especially if you just go and buy, like the $499 Xbox will probably have Xbox One X will probably have a bundle that'll make it it'll either include a lot of things with it, or it might go to $459 or $400 for a holiday special, which over time you end up spending more than what that person did during the holidays to buy it. So the advantage of this is if the somebody can't get that type of money all at once, that they're releasing this way to at least get gamers connected. Now, if they see some moderate success, and what I mean, if they could sell 10,000 of these, I think you'll start to it'll pique interest for, I believe, PlayStation to do the same thing. Sony will probably look at this and, oh, we can make this a little bit of a service here, attach our other services that we make more money off of to the hardware. Yeah, sure, why not? I mean, this is just like what the phone companies have been doing with cell phones. It's just essentially making the hardware essentially cost a less of a factor, and really pushing the services as what they want to attach and bring you in with. So I think, like I said, I think an Xbox can do 10,000 of these, and maybe even 100,000 on these on a sale if they can. And I think if they do well enough, I think they'll push this a little bit more, and I think the competition, such as PlayStation and stuff, will look at this a bit and go, "Oh, that's something we can do. Our system is actually at a lower price point, and we could probably do the same thing and maybe undercut them a little bit, or maybe charge the same amount, whichever the case is. If it's going to garner more people to go out there and grab consoles." And this also, battles well against gaming PCs in a way, because now the barrier to entry to gaming is ridiculously cheap.
$21.99.
$21.99, having decent credit and $21.99 a month. Not even more.
Imagine for $21.99 now. Who knows if we'll be able to get the next Twitch star for $21.99?
Yeah,
that's amazing.
That's really. But here's the part I think you mentioned services, and the part that I like though is Xbox Game Pass.
it's not they've been trying to push it and it hasn't I don't think it's picked up as well as they liked. But I think if you think about it,
I think they've had confusion marketing with that, because the reality is that should be a part of Xbox Live Gold and not some separate service. And
yeah, I think so too. But I think they want the service to stand on itself, and this helps that service best, because the argument you can really give is, let's be honest, already off the bat you get
100 games.
You get 100 games, but no, not just 100 games. You can just, as an Xbox player, you're getting Gears of War. You're getting Halo, the last two Halos, the last two Gears of War, plus you're getting Crackdown that comes out, in a few months.
Yeah.
So you're getting all your just whatever AAA titles that Microsoft has, you're getting those without paying the $50 to $60 for the game.
I think they have a trial for those who already have gold to get get it for like $2 a month or something.
Yeah,
like
$2, something like that. Yeah,
something like that. I've actually been thinking about checking that out just to try out the service a little bit more. And the interesting thing, going back to Sony, is Sony has this already in a way with their...
Yeah, Sony almost botched their own service. Remember their streaming service?
They have.
You paid like a $30 for the month or a year. I can't remember.
Yeah, I remember what it was, yeah.
And then you had to pay for the rental.
Yeah.
And it's like weird time. So like some games would tell you
$5 for an hour.
$5 for an hour, $14 for... I'm like, how am I paying $5 an hour? I won't pass stage 1.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is ridiculous. I think they've changed the service now where it's one flat subscription.
PlayStation Now, online streaming service on the PlayStation. Let me look this up there. You get a 7-day free trial, blah, blah, blah. 650 games, 6 exclusives. It's 3 months. They've actually already got this combined. A 12-month subscription is $100, and they actually have a 3-month with PlayStation Plus, but $29.99, which is weird pricing. I'd have to look at this whole thing again and how I think they have changed this to where it isn't doing that weird thing where you have to pay per game.
Yeah, I think Microsoft, the reason probably Microsoft is still tentative on combining with Xbox Live is Xbox Live pricing is a little high. It's higher than what you pay for PlayStation Plus, I think. So
it's $60, but there's always it's $30, $35 I think for PS Now. I've never bought it because the value between the two aren't like you don't need PlayStation Plus to really have a PlayStation or Xbox. To really actually use the Xbox, you need to have Xbox Live Gold. So it's a little interesting here, but
Sam, thoughts? What do you think about it?
And you can use it on your PC. I think that's the big thing with the PlayStation Now. PlayStation Now was the one you can use on your PC and on your console.
Yeah. Sam, sorry.
No, I'm just. It would be interesting to see how this plays out. Like I already said, it'd be interesting to see if someone who's really interested in something like Twitch can actually get a lowered entry into the whole Twitch marketplace. To stream your gaming and maybe garner some fans. It would be nice to see something like that happen. But overall, I'm always a little reluctant to do the whole leasing of anything that isn't a necessity. And a gaming console is definitely not a necessity. But to each his own. Everyone has to evaluate their own finances to see exactly what works for them, and justify their expenditure.
It is just subscription only. That is correct. That is subscription only now. It's like you just pay the one fee and you get to play all the games.
Because I do agree with you, Sam, to a certain point. I think also this might be Microsoft's way of also justifying their last console to be an expensive one.
Yeah.
As well. So whatever the next Xbox is, that would rock as much hardware power and also maybe a streaming box, because then you're looking at you paying a subscription for a streaming service that just streams to a small box that gives you cloud play, or you buy the $900 whatever super powerful.
We've seen that you can
$900. That's not happening.
No, I'm just saying whatever.
You can fit a 1060 or even a 1070 into a laptop. To get a streaming box that has a graphics processor that's that powerful would probably not be unheard of. So yes, I totally agree. Like it is possible for them to do something like that. it is possible for them to do the whole game streaming when you have a huge amount of graphics processing power on a streaming box at your home. Those things are possible.
But you don't even need that.
It's doing it on the back end. Yeah,
NVIDIA proved it with their cloud. It's still in beta, but I mean, I ran it on a Mac that doesn't have an NVIDIA GPU in there, and Battlefield was running at 1080p at 120 frames per second. So,
nice.
So I'm going Call of Duty. Sorry, World War II. So, and Microsoft has those capabilities as well. So it's just a matter of them actually doing those things and seeing, if that's possible. Because for them that could be something where it all depends on how it goes. If say we know PS5 is now in development, and say PlayStation makes a PS5 announcement next year, and then Microsoft says, well, we don't really need to do that on the Xbox because here we have this cloud service where you can use that combined with the GPU in your current Xbox, or here's a streaming box. Call it a day. It will be interesting to see how that, because it looks like Microsoft is going more cloud-based with everything, subscription, cloud. That Nadella said it a long time ago that he wanted to make everything a subscription service. He's done that with Office. Xbox is now happened. Windows is next. That's the one. That's the big one that they have to convince. But it's that whole stage strategy of making sure that it's all in as a combined service. So yeah, we shall see. Well, all right, guys. Thank you very much. It's been a fun show. Apologize for not being back, and I'm going to apologize that actually next week's show would be none. So I'm taking a hiatus again for another week. It's my mom's birthday was yesterday, but we're doing a birthday party for her next week. So I won't be around for that. But at this point, we've come to part of the show where we find out what's currently on the channels and what you can expect next week. So, Mr. Warren Bowman, what do you have and what can we expect?
I'm sorry, I was looking for something. There was like an article. I was like a video I was looking for related to something I talked about with Xbox and a streaming service thing, and I cannot find. So I heard half of what you said. And then I was just
on the channel. And what can we expect?
Well, next week I'm gonna have a return to YouTube video, and I got some pretty cool stuff coming up. So expect to see that probably Tuesday or Wednesday of next week as I work on it. So on this weekend, so expect some good stuff coming down.
All right, cool. On here, we've had a lot of stuff in the last 3 weeks. I'm sure some of you have checked out. But this past week, we dropped a couple of videos, starting with the microphone I'm using. This is the Blue Yeti Nano. You can check out the review and also get a better idea of what the mic actually sounds like in the video. We also did a review of the Twitch Watch Pro, which is an Android Wear-based smartwatch that gives you about 30 days of battery life. We're using some interesting techniques and a dual display. It's an OLED and an LCD display as well combined. We also have our review of the UE Megaboom 3, the third iteration of the Megaboom. And of course, this pair of headphones I'm using, these are the Sony WH-1000 Mark IIIs, really solid headphones. Check those videos out. Next week we'll have a video coverage of PAX West. I've been here for 2 days, and I'll be here for one more day before I head back. We will have other stuff. I really can't remember what I have in the pipeline, but that is pretty much it. Thank you very much for watching. I want to thank Warren, Sam, and Juan, even though he's not here. He was here in spirit, in some form, for the show. I want to thank you guys also for all the comments. I know we weren't able to go through most of them, but again, if you have any more thoughts, just leave it in the comment section of this video. And follow the channels. You can follow Mr. Warren Bowman at bw1.com. You find him on the web throughout Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell. And Sam, it is _black_iron_man on Twitter. You'll find him there posting absolutely nothing.
Nothing whatsoever.
Iron Man. And,
and don't forget, it's also the same on Instagram where I post a little bit more.
Yes, on Instagram, you find his brand new rebuilt motorcycle. That thing looks fine, though. I would say.
Cool.
Yeah. And it's Booredatwork for me here on YouTube, Instagram, all over the web. Thank you very much. Apologize for the background noise. And always enjoy your entertainment.
Bam.